There's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason.
So Canada is being supported by the United States. So just stop with this silliness and trying to create this conflation somehow or other between the Alberta independence movement and being beholden to the United States. I know it's a fear-mongering talking point of the mainstream.
Gang, what's up? Aaron, Canadian Looney. Smash the like, hit subscribe, get your Canadian federal politics right here. This Jeff Rath, who's a part of the Alberta separation movement, he is one to watch, man. He was on CTV. We just saw that. He's back on CTV, and he is not going to hold anything back. We need more people like this saying what's really on their minds, not being chicken shit to the CTV legacy media propaganda. Let's take a look.
Is Jeffrey Rath, General Counsel of the Alberta Independence Petition Project. Jeffrey, I know you spoke to Vassy Kapelos. We had that interview air on CTV's Question Period yesterday. So let me put it to you again, for those that may have missed your conversation with Vassy too. We talked about south of the border, but your response to the article that came out from the Financial Times that you were seeking with your talks and U.S. officials about $500 billion worth of credit in order to possibly fund Alberta if and when you gain independence.
Well, first of all, let's be really clear. I mean, Alberta can completely fund itself without any help from the United States. We've already done a feasibility study on that. It's called The Value of Freedom, a draft fiscal plan for an independent Alberta. We send $70 billion a year to Ottawa. We get less than $10 billion a year back in federal transfers, and we get $10 billion in questionable federal services, including national defense, which we know isn't really any defense at all. So we can completely fund ourselves as a free and independent country. The only thing we're doing is conducting a feasibility study on putting in place a credit line to ease us through the transition of cutting off all federal tax dollars going to Ottawa from Alberta and keeping all of the money here in Alberta. I mean, we're very serious people. We're treating this as a very serious project. We're doing our due diligence on behalf of the citizens of Alberta. We are looking forward to the day where we leave Canada and we will be paying no more federal income tax, no more GST, no more carbon tax, and that Alberta will be the lowest taxed, lowest regulated jurisdiction in North America. So that's what we're working forward to. There's obviously billions of dollars worth of reasons for Alberta to leave Canada, and nobody has ever been able to provide us a single reason that Alberta would be better off if we remained in Canada. And I put that challenge out to Danielle Smith. I put it out to Mark Carney. I put it out to every provincial premier. Please tell us why Albertans will be so much better off financially if we stay in Canada, when the day we leave, we no longer have to pay federal income tax or any other federal taxes, and will no longer be, subject to federal regulation of our oil and gas industry.
Well, let me just ask you, Jeffrey, too. Is it just purely financial? Is that ultimately all this boils down to for you and for your group? Or like, there's other ways to in part of this, but there's so much focus on this financial part of it as opposed to remaining part of the country.
Well, that's a very big part. I mean, that's what they're threatening with. They're threatening us with financial devastation. It's fear, fear, fear on a going forward basis. So we want to show our fellow Albertans and the rest of the world that Albertans will be extremely well off when we leave Canada. We don't need Canada. Canada needs us. But they sure haven't treated us that way, have they? West Coast tanker ban, emission caps, production caps, net zero nonsense coming out of the World Economic Forum, on and on. Every time we turn around, there is some new silly regulation coming out of Ottawa to destroy our industry and destroy our economy. And the weird thing about it that we have such a hard time reconciling is Alberta literally supports the entire country of Canada. We even pay equalization to Ontario, for God's sake. Mm-hmm. $15 billion to Quebec, half of that to the Maritimes, on and on. And, what do we get for it? We're mistreated. Our oil is referred to as dirty oil. We're just constantly disrespected on an ongoing basis. They want to attack our culture with, things like universal basic income, where they're literally going to destroy the industriousness of our children. Mm-hmm. I mean, one thing after another. That's why we're leaving. It's not just financial, but Albertans need to know that we are going to be so much better off financially when we leave. That's why we kind of lead with that message. Imagine a nurse married to a policeman. They're both making more than $100,000 a year. In a free and independent Alberta with no more federal income tax, their family income and their take-home pay is going to increase by $40,000 to $60,000 a year.
Well, Jeffrey,
So
let me put this.
We'll get back to the absurdity of Canadian federal politics in a moment. Just a friendly reminder to smash the like, hit subscribe. Please leave a comment below if you have something to share. Let's get back to the nutty video.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I understand again, like a lot of those points. I want to ask you too, because Melissa Lantsman did say today, you know, we heard from the Conservative Deputy Leader about the possibility of Alberta separating from Canada. I want to play you a clip, and then I'm going to get your reaction to it. So let's listen to this.
Sure.
I'm an MP from Ontario in a party that wants to fight for united Canada, one that is resilient, one that wants to stand, one that can stand on its own 2 feet, one that develops our resources, that treats provincial autonomy with respect. I certainly understand the feelings of those, but I don't think anybody should be lobbying anybody on separation. I think we should fight here for united Canada, and that's not what the Liberals are doing. It is up to the Prime Minister to make the argument on separation, and we didn't have this before he was here. For many, many years, we didn't have separation movements.
Okay, so that was again earlier today in Ottawa. I just want to get your reaction to that. Jeffrey.
I don't want to be disrespectful to that member of Parliament, but my response is, so what? I mean, you know, it's about time that people in Ontario start paying their own bills, and they can shoulder the burden of the welfare, you know, the welfare economy of the Maritimes for once. Albertans are tired of it. And, you know, you need to be aware that there's a recent poll that came out that now shows support for Alberta independence at 41%. I actually texted it to your producer. So as our petition campaign goes forward and hundreds of thousands of Albertans line up for miles into the cold January nights to sign the what they're calling the Alberta Declaration of Independence petition, that Albertans are leaving. I mean, we're serious about leaving. We're determined to go. And, you know, Conservative MPs in Ontario, you know, talking about national unity isn't going to stop it. You know, Pierre Poilievre's speech at the Conservative Convention in Calgary didn't change anybody's minds. Danielle Smith saying that she's for a strong Alberta within a united Canada hasn't changed anybody's minds. We're leaving. I mean, people just need to get their heads around that and starting to plan accordingly.
Let me put this to you then. So again, it's almost 180,000 signatures that you're trying to collect by May. If the referendum, and it's like a bit of a hypothetical, the referendum goes forward and Albertans say, and they vote in favor of staying in Canada, are you going to drop this project? Will you drop this movement, or are you expecting it to continue even if you get to the referendum and it's defeated?
Well, first of all, we don't think that's going to happen. I mean, as our petition campaign goes forward, more and more people are flocking to our banner. Every time somebody like David Eby comes out and says we're not real Albertans because we support independence, every time somebody like David Eby calls us treasonous, it reminds another 100,000 Albertans to go out and sign the petition for independence. So at the end of the day, we're confident that we're going to win the referendum. But to be clear, you know, our view is that, in the unlikelihood of a no vote, we just roll up our sleeves and keep working the same that the Parti Québécois does. And maybe at that point, we look at forming a provincial independence party that's credible, to take this forward. But we don't see that happening. I mean, clearly the momentum is on our side. We're only 4 weeks into our petition campaign, and we've already moved the needle in the polls by over 10 points. So, you know, we think by the time we finish our petition campaign at the end of May, that we're going to have over 50% of the population in favor of independence. And certainly then we'll have a 3 or 4 month referendum campaign where we can continue to talk to Albertans about the benefits of not having to pay any more income tax, doubling pensions for our senior citizens instead of paying refugees and temporary foreign workers more than our pensioners, et cetera, et cetera. A free and independent Alberta will be the wealthiest country per capita in the world. And that's what we're working forward to. We think it's a very positive project. We're imbued with a spirit of positivity, and we're very excited about the prospect of creating a new country.
Jeffrey, we're about out of time, but I want to ask you just for a quick update. Can you update how many people have signed the petition before I let you go?
We're well ahead of what we need to get to 200,000 signatures. We're crushing that metric. Our goal is to get well over 1 million signatures,
right.
And we're a bit behind the curve on that because we haven't had enough canvassing badges out yet. But we're going to get there because we're now, as at the end of this month, we're going to be over 5,000 canvassers. We're on our way to a 10,000 canvasser goal, and as soon as we have our army of 10,000 canvassers ready to go, We're going to unleash an 87 constituency door knocking campaign. And, we're confident that we're going to get to the 1 million signature goal that we set for ourselves.
Jeffrey Rath, General Counsel of the Alberta Independence Petition Project. Thank you for your time today, sir.
No, thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Gang, we'll wrap it up right there. Aaron, Canadian Looney, smash the like, hit subscribe, get your Canadian federal politics right here. If you enjoy seeing stories with our man here, Jeffrey Rush, and stuff like this that opposes the legacy media, that's a reason to like, share, and subscribe. That's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Ciao for now. We're out. We'll catch you in the next one. See you, folks.